right, so now we're recording, Rach. All right, so ready to go?
Yeah.
Great, terrific. All right, so in 3, 2, 1. G'day and welcome to the Killer Storyteller podcast. I'm Christy Horn, your co-host, coming to you from a very chilly and wintry Melbourne. Thanks so much for tuning in for another killer episode. And as always, I'm joined by my UK mate, crime queen and million copy selling author and all-round bloody legend, Rachel Lynch. G'day, Rach.
Hiya, Christy. Oh, what an introduction. I'm not sure I can live up to all of that. A massive hello to everybody listening in. How is everybody? Great to have you all with us again. So looking forward to this one. And today we are talking about Dead End, number 3 in the Kelly Porter series.
Yes, we certainly are. But before we crack this episode open, Rach, how are you going and what's been happening in your side of the world?
Oh, we are actually having a summer, Christy. So
Awesome.
it doesn't happen very often, but it's been really hot. And do you know what goes with summer? It's sport in Britain. And I was lucky enough a couple of weeks ago to be at the World Cup final of the cricket.
Yep.
And it was South Africa against Aussie, those baggy caps. I mean, they should have won. Okay, just on the kit, because I just love the Aussie kit. I was concentrating on the cricket, obviously.
Yes, very good.
That was amazing. I loved it at Lord's. It's such a great venue. Had a great day. It's just lots of people, just having picnics and chilling. A beautiful day. The sun was shining. Cricket was amazing. And South Africa have never won before. So watching them, raise the trophy for the first time was really quite special, even though it wasn't Australia. Sorry.
Yeah, it was really special for South Africa, and it was great to see them win. And good, it's good for the Aussies as well. I think they're in the West Indies right now, so we follow the cricket here in Melbourne. But it was lovely to see you there, Rach. But also Wimbledon is another one of my favourites, and Tour de France starts tonight, so I absolutely love the Tour de France and watch it religiously. But you guys are having like this massive European heat wave. We've been very jealous down here in the Southern Hemisphere, but it's been quite cold.
Look, you don't get to be jealous, right? With your weather, with your summers, you don't get to be jealous. This is like crumbs. 31 degrees for a week is something, and it makes everyone smile. So Brits are known for being totally miserable about the weather, and we just sort of shuffle around most of the year moaning about the weather. But then we get a week's heat wave and we all turn into really happy people.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
It is. It's lovely. And so I've been really enjoying it. I'm a bit of a sun queen, and I like to sit out. But isn't it amazing how how many platforms we've been on, and just we're blown away by all the support and the comments and the really fun engagement with so many people.
You have the loveliest, you have. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You have the absolutely loveliest followers and people who support and read your books. And one of the other things that's up and running is our YouTube page, and now you can watch. Hello. And watch and enjoy all of our recordings. But I have to warn you, there's no edits here, guys. So if you see us make a mistake, or actually you probably can just see how much we're laughing and having a really good time. So the YouTube channel is called, obviously, the Killer Storyteller podcast, and you can find us on YouTube. So, it's been pretty good. And what about our playlist on Spotify?
I know. And we need to add to that, don't we? We need to get some really groovy tunes in there for Kelly and Johnny to run up those hills to.
I know. I've added a couple of songs in there, but we need to add some more. And we want your input too, guys. So if anyone has some awesome songs that they want to add into the Killer Storyteller playlist, let us know, because we'll add them in. So every now and then there's a song that comes up in some of the books. So we're adding those in as well. So, please feel free to suggest some songs to add into the playlist.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Alrighty, Rach, Dead End is the title, but we're just getting started. Sorry, not sorry for the puns, and I'm not going to stop. I absolutely cannot help it. So let's go. Okay, this episode we are discussing book number 3, Dead End. Innocence Lost, Secrets Revealed. Oh, that sounded a bit weird. Hang on. Innocence lost, secrets revealed.
And again, we need to say up front that we are going to try our best not to give away any spoilers. If you haven't read the book yet, or if you're halfway through catching up, we're not going to share any endings, but we are going to be discussing the themes in the book and the storyline, and focusing on the things like, the setting and the characters. So if you're reading along with us, that's okay. We won't spoil anything for you, we promise. But we'd also like to hear from you, where you're up to, which book you're on, if you're just starting. And we know that a lot of you are reading along and listening to the podcast in order, which is just epic.
So good.
We're getting so much feedback, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, every time me and Christy talk about a book, we have a little intro on just like the statistics. So this one, Dead End, was written as part of the first 3 in 2018. It was published in 2018 as well. That was a really busy year for Kelly. All 3 came out in the same year. It was written at home, probably in my garden, in my kitchen, in my front room. And it took a little bit longer, this one, because I was getting into the groove. It took about 3 months to write. And for the first time, this book is about family drama and the secrets and revenge that sort of unfold from that tragedy. So I had a brilliant time researching this. And I set it in May, so it's late spring. Not as many tourists, not as hot. But the researching, I think we're going to go into later, aren't we, Kirsty? So, over to you. I'm going to start that again. All right, Kirsty, over to you to give your summary of Dead End from your point of view. What stood out? I'm really curious to get your take on this. What grabbed you? What lingered? What gave you the chills?
Okay. Well, I loved how we did this last episode, Rach. And so here goes again. It's 100 words. So I think it might be 130 on this one. Please don't count it. But here we go. It's summer in the lakes when an old Earl is found hanged. His safe dumped in the lake. Soon after, 2 girls vanish following a secret midnight walk to declare their love. When a duffel bag resurfaces linked to another missing girl, dark secrets begin to rise. D.I. Kelly Porter investigates a tangled web of incest, illegitimacy, and cruelty while juggling family trauma and betrayal. A detailed autopsy by Ted Wallis points to murder, not suicide, and expert dive teams uncover clues beneath the surface. Abandoned huts, buried histories, and a final showdown on Place Fell push Kelly to the edge. Fiercely independent, she resists promotion, challenges tradition, and leads with heart and steel. As she confronts the truth of her past, she's left wondering, maybe she did belong here after all. What do you think?
That just give me goosebumps.
Really? Did you like that?
Yeah.
Did I cover it? Okay.
Now, let's unpack some of the storylines and the characters.
Okay. First off, the setting, that mansion. I mean, Wasdale Hall, it's spooky and it's decaying and it just oozes tension. I could smell the mould coming off the pages, Rach. It's dusty, the peeling wallpaper, and I was actually getting full creepy manor energy. It's almost like the house is a character in itself. So tell me, why did you choose Wasdale Hall?
So I was looking for a name, and in the Lake District, there's quite a lot of these old halls kicking about, because a lot of Cumbria is owned by noble families.
Okay.
And it's actually the Lowthers, that own this sort of area. So I couldn't use their name, even though we do know one of the members of the family, because he actually went to the military academy at Sandhurst with my husband Mike.
Oh,
so we've got his permission to use the sort of me alluding to that type of history in the story. He was absolutely stoked, and he asked his uncle for permission. We got it. But I needed to change the name. So Wasdale just struck me because it's one of my favourite places. Wasdale is actually up by Scarfell Pike. And it just sort of came together. But yeah, the whole sort of mansion atmosphere. I loved creating that, and it's the remoteness, isn't it? And it's so isolated and eerie. It's quite sad as well how it's sort of decayed
Yeah.
over the years, and like you say, this sort of heavy stillness. And I thought, and this is why I got excited about the story. There's something about the setting of a grand aristocratic hall, adding like an extra character. And I've always loved that thought of like you say, the peeling wallpaper and the forgotten corners hiding something.
Yeah.
Um, and so, it's a bit like finding something behind, a rock or under a lake. That's the type of feel I was going for.
Okay.
And it's kind of frozen in time, isn't it? What did you make of the house?
Yeah, I could really sense it, feel it. When I was reading the stories, particularly the scenes that are set inside the house, I could really feel it. And you've described some, Kelly goes in to sit down on a cushion and then all the dust comes up and through the lights coming through the windows. But it feels like it had former glory with some of the big events that happened there. So I felt like you totally nailed the description, and I felt like it was just coming off at me in the book. So really, really great
Amazing,
writing.
amazing. That's awesome. Thanks, Christy.
Yeah, there was, speaking of the time warp and the time warp with the house, you really played with time in this book, Rach, where you're jumping between past and present, back and forth. That was kind of unique. What was behind that?
I think like we were just talking about, the former glory and this retro glamour that clearly used to be holding the house up, and so I really needed to pull that into the story. So it came quite naturally with this one, and I loved doing it. So it was really important to get to know the Earl's history and his wife Delilah. I just love that name. Don't know where that
Mhm.
came from. And so it enabled me to really write about the romance and the style of the 70s when they were in love and their love story, sort of 50 years ago. Things like her perfume and the fashion, at those amazing balls that they used to throw. So getting that in was really important for me, because to have a great fall, you need to know where they're coming from, where they're falling from, right?
Yeah.
So I needed to write about that forgotten time of happiness. What stood out for you in those old retro scenes?
You've picked one of them, and I've got it further down into some of the funny things that we've come up with. But her perfume, and the perfume that you've picked is like absolutely perfect for that time. I feel like that was just absolutely, you captured that. But the like the romance of the big events that they had there. And we're going to get to one of my favorite scenes in a little while. But those, when you went back in time, it gave you a greater understanding of what's happening in the now, particularly with two of the young boys that used to play together a lot. So and then all some of the other characters as well. So they were great scenes to toggle between the here and the now, because it's like, aha, okay, that totally makes sense. Really
Yeah,
love that.
and
The
the context is really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
To understand the tragedy.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And the family story, their history is so tragic. How did you factor that in?
Yeah, it's as if they're all cursed, isn't it? And that generational
Yeah.
trauma is dumped, all building up from the 1970s, trauma after trauma, and now it's dumped on poor 19-year-old Zach. It's like a crumbling legacy.
Oh, yeah, I love the way you describe that. That is so perfect. It is a crumbling legacy.
Yeah, and the Earl is the last Earl, isn't he? And
Mm,
because the only thing that's left is illegitimacy. So I love that part of it. But and it was only in the writing of it that it struck me, because of the ages of Ted and the Earl, that they probably would know each other, because this old glamorous Cumbrian set would have been quite small, and it would have consisted of landowners. It would have
yeah.
consisted of high up coppers, town councillors, and probably a pathologist.
Yeah,
A highly
professionals.
respected, professionals and rich people, so the elite. So it wasn't too far a stretch to have them knowing each other, and of course their reunion is when Ted is autopsying him. So that was
Yeah.
a real chilly connection as well.
Which brings us to the autopsy. The early scene is really graphic, but it's also really fascinating as well. And you've got all the scientific detail, Rach. And I've said it before, it never feels gratuitous. How do you balance the gore with the science? And also, can we talk about Ted and how he came to his conclusion, like suffocation before hanging? It was brilliant.
Yeah, and that to me, Christy, is a real compliment. When you say it's not gratuitous,
Mhm.
because it's I am dealing with gore and gru, and so I have to, and this is something that I like to read as a reader, is balancing the gru and the gore comes through because of the goodness. And so when you've got good people like Kelly, Johnny, Zach, Kelly's team, Ted, then the gru and the gore is feels more chilling without being gratuitous, because then hopefully fans, like yourself and all the people listening, are actually going to get behind them, and the gru and the gore aren't just there to score points and to show off. They're there to sort of balance the goodness.
Yeah.
um, and I just adore the research, and I found it fascinating how what a pathologist can discover, and it's all about um, the marks on the neck, how they
Yep.
present,
Yep.
the damage inside, and the weight ratios, and all of that. And so my research, when I'm researching the autopsy scenes, is actually really scientific, and it just sets my brain alight. I love it. And I love how he's so professional, isn't he? He's all
Right.
precision, no fluff, just gets on with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And but Kelly's there swearing, and he knows that Kelly swears a lot, but he sort of just ignores it. And he's such an upstanding, guy who clearly, rubbed shoulders, with people like the Earl, but he just gets on with his job.
yeah.
Um, that twist just sort of changes the whole tone of the case, doesn't it?
It comes early too. So I really, really like that. And I know you've said before, Ted deserves his own spin-off. He does, doesn't he?
I'd love to do that. I'd love to write a series on a pathologist, whether it be Ted in the Lake District. That would be awesome. Or a new character. But yeah, that is definitely on my radar. I don't suffer from lack of ideas, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then you've got all those wilderness scenes and the wild landscapes. It's so evocative. I had to Google Shingle Beach, by the way, but there's more on that later. Uh,
That's just hysterical. I mean, yeah, everything's smaller here. So all of our little beaches are ground down to this little dust. But if you, one day I will take you there, Christine. That is an absolute promise. But these little beaches that are on the lakes. I'm trying to think. I don't. There is a little bit of sand, sort of interspersed in between these shingly, but it's mainly shingle and rocky, but it's soft underfoot, and it's got this smell, this sort of fresh lake smell,
okay.
and it's cold. You know how sand is warm underfoot?
Yep.
These shingles are cold. And so
Okay.
again, it just matches the environment, and the terrain around that area around Ullswater is really quite wild, because there are not a lot of roads. There isn't easy access. That's why the North Lakes are so much quieter than the South Lakes. And I've
Okay.
been to a lot of these spots, and I just love Ullswater. It's one of the longest, and it's not quite the biggest. Windermere is the biggest by area, but Ullswater has this huge coastline, which is probably about 50 miles all the way around. No, probably, yeah, a bit less than that.
Okay.
Um, and so it's a huge coastline, and they're stunning, but the landscape is also very unforgiving.
Yeah.
Perfect
Yeah.
for a crime scene.
Hey, quick question without notice from an Aussie to someone in the UK. When you go into the lake, do you wear like little booties or your thongs or your
I
runners?
absolutely do. I wear dive boots. Yeah,
'Cause I
neoprene
was
shoes.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I got them as well because when they were little, there was a lot of like, "Oh, ah, oh, oh, ah, ah." There was a lot of that. So we thought, "Oh, yeah, our old dive boots, that would be good." So every time we go now, we take little booties, and I've got like a shorty jacket wetsuit that if I'm going
Okay,
wild swimming, I'll wear a little jacket wetsuit as well. It doesn't really, make much difference because
okay.
I don't know, it's about 2 degrees or it's probably not, but that's how it
Oh,
feels.
it is really
But yeah,
cold. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, great. So remember to pack my booties when I come because I'm taking you up on that offer, mate. Fair income. I really am. Rach, in the middle of all of that bleakness, you managed to weave in this beautiful love story between Sophie and Hannah, and you always seem to bring that human layer into the horror. Is that intentional?
Oh, thanks, Christy. And yeah, and again, it's the same thing. It's about balancing that, good and evil, because something's got to be at stake emotionally, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's not all about plot. I think people have got to feel something, and so if you're used to the series, you obviously already feel something for Kelly. If you're coming back, then you obviously are emotionally invested in her. But every story, I try and introduce other characters for people to get emotionally invested in as well. Um, and crime, doesn't have to have that punch just on its own. I think there's got to be this push and pull, like I said before, the good versus the evil. And how important is that for you, Christy, as a reader? That dark and light, that light and shade.
Yeah, I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy the different variations within the light and the dark as well. So, for example, in the last book that we did, which was Deep Fear,
Yeah.
one of the guys was like a baddie in the book. He was actually hilarious. So he was a really bad guy, but he was a guy that was watching Love Island or MasterChef. That was kind of really funny. So I like the way that you have the different shades of light and dark, and I find that keeps me kind of um, flicking through the pages because I'm so invested in it. It's just like, oh, you're such a horrible person. Look what's happening here. Then you get the beauty of, like, in this case, we've got Hannah and Sophie that are just new into their relationship, and that it really counterbalances the storyline really beautifully. That's just one example. So I think it's really important, and I love the way that you can do that. It's such an incredible skill.
It's like the yin and the yang, isn't it? Not to get too
Yeah.
philosophical, but I used to be a history teacher, and one thing that annoys me a little bit about any sort of political or social commentary, not to bring politics into it because obviously that would be really bad. Um,
This would
is
definitely be
this
a really long podcast.
yeah. These sweeping statements about people and countries, like you're either all bad or you're all good, and life isn't like that. And everybody has darkness and everybody has light, and I guess that's what's always inside me when I'm writing characters, because I don't believe that anybody is all bad or anybody is all good.
Yeah. There's also a really amazing surprise link between Kelly's own family and Wasdale Hall. That must have been so much fun to write. How did that twist come about, Rach?
Yeah, it was just one of those little
Really
things,
great.
those glimmers that jumped into my head when Ted, when I put Ted at one of the balls at Wasdale Hall, with the Earl. I just thought, this is actually really plausible, and that's the thing about fiction, is that it doesn't have to be true, because obviously it's fiction. Although some fans do pick you up on that. It's like, oh, is the Lake District really like that? Right, I'm not going anymore then. Um, it doesn't have to be true, but it does have to be plausible. It has to be believable. And I thought this little touch was plausible. Ted's the right age. He would have rubbed shoulders with him, with the sort of Cumbria elite at these famous parties that the Earl, Xavier and Delilah were throwing. Everybody wanted to be there. It was like
Yeah.
the Bezos wedding of the 70s. And respected copper like John Porter would have been invited too. So of course,
Yeah,
Wendy would.
she has to go.
Yeah, Wendy has to go with a green frock that matches her eyes. Mm.
Interesting. Uh, that, we come to one of our favourite bits in a moment, but that weaves kind of into one of my most favourite bits in the book. And when I reread Dead End again, um, I texted you when I got to a certain point. I wrote in the book, sent Rach a photo. Look where I'm up to. This is my favourite part in the book. I love that bit so much. We'll get to that in a sec. But in this book, no, hang on. In the last book, we had a forensic dentist as an expert. Remember in Deep Fear?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'll just bring one in per book.
I bloody love that. So I love the recurring theme of the underwater scenes. And this time we have dive master Steve McKellen from the underwater search team. That was a great addition. The diving scenes come up fairly regularly in some of your books. Why is that?
Yeah, well, it's really easy to answer that because I trained as a sports diver in Cyprus when Mike was there with the military. So we trained with the military, and there off Larnaca there is one of the most famous wrecks in the world called the Zenobia.
Okay.
It's actually in one of my other series. It's in the Helen Scott series in the line. And so I write dive scenes a lot because they're so atmospheric, aren't they? There's something about, something
Yeah.
so haunting about the water. It doesn't have to be deep. I mean, I've done dives at 10 meters at
Okay.
night, with a torch, which are really scary and haunting. And then I've done dives at 50 meters in the light, and I haven't really had the same feeling. And it's the silence, the pressure, the danger, the potential.
Mm.
You can hide a lot down there. So Steve brought real physicality to those scenes, and again, I just love dropping in one of those characters like him. And he's part of a proper search team, really professional, going up and down in that grid
Yep.
arrangement. And because when I have a technical scene, I like to create a 3D character to flesh it out for me instead of me just having a narrative and, oh, this
That's
is what's
interesting.
happening. I choose a character to do it for me. So you wouldn't get me diving in Oz, Christy. Not
Why
a
not?
hope in hell. Oh, please. I'm the Jaws generation. No,
Same.
thank you. Would you? Have you tried it?
Yeah, I've been on the Great Barrier Reef, and then the Great Barrier Reef's on one side of Australia, and directly on the other side of Australia is the Ningaloo Reef. And
Oh,
last year or the year before, Howie, my partner and I, we went to Ningaloo Reef and we swam with the whale sharks.
oh my God, that's amazing. That must have been incredible because they're huge, aren't they?
Massive. They are so massive.
Wow.
Yes. So
And their
and
massive mouth as well, this gaping mouth.
yeah, and they're so graceful underneath. So, we went out on a day trip, and then, on the Great Barrier Reef, we swum with them, but they have, like, mainly reef sharks up there, so the water's too warm. So I've swum with reef sharks before, so at SeaWorld. That still counts, right?
Of course it does. Yeah, they're still in the water. They can still nibble you.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
white
whole, yeah.
yeah, just the white tip or the black tip reef sharks. They
Oh
generally
wow.
don't, they generally don't attack people. But I
Yeah,
have
but the
come face to face with a shark before, and I was snorkeling in the north coast of New South Wales, and I was just in a little stream that came out from the mouth of the ocean, and it was this is such a pisser. I was probably in about knee deep water, and I was just snorkeling along, and anyway, came face to face with a wobbegong shark. Google it if you don't know what a wobbegong shark is. It's quite possibly the ugliest shark in the world. And anyway, I saw it and I stood up, just ran out of the water screaming with my snorkeling goggles on. That is a Benningham true story, people. Yeah,
Oh my God. Well, that's
it's a
definitely
bit
not gonna happen
baby.
in Oz water. Yeah.
No, no.
You
And
might find a pair of undies or, an old suitcase, not a wobbegong.
Wobbegong. In, WA, when we were there the other week, the other year, Howie and I went for a big hike along the coastline, and we came across a baby shark nursery. I'll share some photos on my social media, or I'll share them to, the Killer Storyteller. But there were so many baby sharks, just little cute ones, this big, this big. They're only little, but they're all just in this really shallow, really warm water. So yeah, heaps and heaps of sharks. So
Wow.
yeah.
But Mum, did you see Mum?
They're, no, I don't think they hang
They
around. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're left alone, are they?
Yeah,
Like,
they just yeah. But,
yeah,
oh god, we digress. We could
wow.
talk about sharks all
Oh god, we
day.
could just talk
Yeah.
about diving.
All right, let's get this back on track, honey bun. All right, where were we up to? All right, so quick change of pace from sharks, but I love it when Kelly and Johnny go running together. And is that their version of plot runs? And let's be honest, Johnny definitely enjoys the view from behind.
Yeah, this is probably TMI, but this is directly from my husband. When we go running, he he runs behind me, and I'm like, "Do you want to go in front?" He's like, "No, no, no, it's fine. I'm just enjoying
Oh, that's so
watching
hilarious.
you." So that's a direct link. That's art mimicking life.
Oh,
Um,
that's so lovely.
yeah,
I love that.
a
It's great.
relationship's got to be realistic, hasn't it? And it's
Yeah.
developing. It's still pretty new. I mean, they've only been together for about a year at this point. And plot runs, I love that because
Yeah.
you can feel them, can't you? You can hear them running, and she's like, yeah, and I interviewed this guy, and he was such an idiot, and what do you think? And he's like, yeah, and I was bringing this guy down off the mountain, or I can just see them doing it, and
Yeah.
I'm a real visual writer, so I love that movie playing in my head when I'm writing about them going for a run. I think it's really important, and also it's kind of a good off gas in the story, just to
Yeah.
release a bit of pressure, because you've got all of this negativity and tragedy in all of Kelly's stories, and then you can just decompress a bit with a plot run. You can just sort of have a breather, because I don't
Yeah.
think you can be really intense the whole time. Does that make
No,
sense?
it breaks it up really nicely, doesn't it? And, like, we all need to go out for a run every now and then, blow off some steam and a bit of a debrief. But, yeah, that works really well. Hey, the Peaks Bay Hotel, is it real or fiction? Because I need to go there. It sounds bloody unreal.
Oh, doesn't it? I know. And there is, in the place where I imagine it,
Yeah,
um, again, I had to make up my own name, but there is a famous hotel called the Sharrow Bay, and it's really exclusive. And one day I will stay there. Oh my God, it looks amazing. But it's been closed for quite a long time now. And apparently, new American owners are refurbing it. It closed
fantastic.
during COVID,
Yep.
and then these new owners bought it, and it says on their website that they're refurbing, and it was due to open this year, but I don't know whether they're going to make that deadline. But I cannot wait. You wait to Google it. You wait till you see
Okay,
the location.
will do.
So yeah, it's a real location with my own name.
Oh, well, if they happen to be listening and want to bring us there for an outside broadcast, or we could podcast live from the opening, that kind of makes sense too.
I'm free. Are you free?
Totally. Just need to pack my booties when I
Yeah.
go for a swim.
And you
Uh,
snorkel?
got him. Yeah, got him. There's a really lovely scene when Kelly takes her mum to dinner, and it's just the two of them, and we see another side to their relationship. How do you take Kelly's personal life even further with every single book? And in this scene that I'm referring to, her mum's been a bit of a wine goblin, complaining about the bill. It's just so real.
Isn't it? She's got one eye on Kelly, isn't she? She's got one eye on the prices. We've all been to dinner with somebody like that, and they're usually of a certain age, and I could just see Wendy sort of, just slightly sort of tensing, when she saw £26 or something, for a scallop.
Yep.
Which, the Peaks Bay is that type of place. I mean, they've only been there a couple of times because, they scattered, John Porter's ashes there under a rhododendron bush. Sorry, John. Um, I mean, it's again that was sort of one of my experiences because sadly I lost my mum quite a long time ago, and we took her ashes to Lanzarote, in the Canaries, and we put her under a bush, and I just hope to this day that she doesn't mind. It seemed a really good idea at the time because
Yeah.
she loved traveling.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's the connection there. But yeah, I loved writing that scene, and I love scenes that make me smile when I'm writing them, or they make
Mm.
me feel something, and I
Yeah.
kind of know if I'm feeling something like happiness or joy or terror or the chills, then it's probably going to have the same effect on my readers. So, and again, it was an off-gassing scene, that lovely scene with her mom. And of course, her mom, without giving any spoilers away, her mom isn't well when they go there. So it's another way to show that softer side of Kelly.
Yeah, it was really lovely to see her mum and her enjoying that time together. You described the nature of hotel work superbly in the book. Is this from personal experience? Plus, it's a bit of a link back to book number one, Dark Game, with the transient workers, remember?
Yeah, and again, it's really indicative of that, Lake District setting. This idea of, you've got so many different transient workers because of the hotels, and that lends itself to crime really well because you've got people coming in and out undocumented.
Yeah.
And of course, in Dark Game, you had these girls who had to hand their passports over. And even though obviously we were in Schengen then, we were still part of Europe, and anybody from Europe, including Poland, that because they signed the Schengen too, they could have come over legally. The point in Dark Game is that they didn't want to go the legal route because they didn't want to pay taxes, so they were under the radar on purpose, and of course that
Yeah.
leaves them vulnerable. But yeah, I mean, I've worked all over the Lake District, and it's hard bloody work, serving breakfast from 5 o'clock on your feet until when you clear up at 11. It's really hard work. And all of these hotels, these glamorous hotels, they don't pay very well, and you stink after your shift. Your
Oh,
uniform is pretty grimy, from the food smells. So it's really hard work, especially if it's hot. And I just one little side. I had a couple of uh, people staying in a hotel arguing over my tips because this guy had tipped me and I didn't notice, and one of the other waitresses stole my tips, and he saw, and so there was a
oh,
big hoo-ha about it. So there's all that sort of going on as well. So there is this tension, behind the scenes, like there was in Dark Game between Rosa and Gabriella.
that's right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that she's becoming Kelly's becoming more anchored in her environment, isn't she? As
Yeah.
time goes on, and so as she gets more comfortable, I'm sort of introducing a few more elements of the Lake District experience. But yeah, I mean, when I was at uni, I had these part-time jobs there that I'll never forget. So
Yeah.
yeah, for
Oh,
me, I
yeah.
was there.
Well, being there in those, part-time jobs, just wanna earn an extra couple of dollars to do
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, yeah. And I guess, that's exactly what you want your readers to feel, right? Kelly is really rooted there now, and within each book, the bond kinda deepens, so I'm kinda thinking, what is it gonna be like for book 13? What's that gonna be like? So, I've gotta hurry up and keep on reading these books, so because 'cause I'm rereading the book so I can make my notes, but now I just wanna skip forward to book number 8 or 9 that I'm actually really up to. But in fact, I've just started reading, The Famous.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah.
my husband's just finished that.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, really different. And my standalones are different, which is on purpose, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't just want to write in one way. I want to experiment, and I'm glad I, gave it a go with the standalones because you loved the rich, didn't you?
Love it so
Um,
much. Yeah.
yeah, and I just think it's good to broaden my skills. I'm always working on something different, but Kelly is like my main series.
Yep. Yep.
So, I mean, on that, her getting more comfortable in her environment as well, Christy. This is something that comes up over and over again. Is a lot of people on, on the reviews do mention that the Lake District is like a character in itself.
Yeah.
Um, and there's some great scenery in Dead End, and I always try and do that because I just that's what I enjoy. I really enjoy writing about the Lake District because it's so beautiful. And it gives a really good sort of juxtaposition to the crimes. So in Dead End, we are in Place Fell. We're in
Yep.
Ullswater. Place Fell is actually one of my favourite peaks to climb. It's really steep. The view from the top is amazing. That, just to give you some context, that's where Hannah and Sophie go
Yeah.
missing. So that's Place Fell, and it's really quiet. You can't drive there. This
You
is
have
the
to
thing
walk
about
up.
the Lake District, yeah, is when you think of mountain ranges elsewhere in the world, you can do quite a lot of driving to get there, or trekking through villages and towns, but it's not like that. It's really, you have to leave your car. There's no public transport. So to
Okay.
get to a lot of these places, it is just, walking, and sheep, lots of sheep.
So
With the herdies, the local herdies with their black faces, they are
oh,
so cute.
beautiful. So you
Yeah,
start
yeah.
at the bottom and walk to the top, basically. So you can't drive halfway and then walk the other half. No,
No,
okay, right. That's so interesting because in my mind, it seems like they're massive mountains and, but yeah, they're kind of smaller from what I gather.
yeah, they are. They're tiny compared to, other places in the world.
Yep,
Um, but they are, remote, hard to get to.
yep.
So I'm not sure if I've told you this story before, but I took my girlfriends up there, and I have a Swiss friend, and we got halfway up, and she said, "Is it, can we go to the toilet and have a drink at the top? Is it like a really nice cafe like there is in Switzerland?" Uh, no, sorry.
You bring your thermos and your little sandwich.
Exactly.
Uh, certain spots really leap off the page, like some of the fells and the mountains, but also Wasdale Hall, the Shingle Beach that we talked about earlier, those remote campsites and huts. Like they all feel really alive, and it's more than just a backdrop, isn't it, Rach? The landscape shapes the mood, the tension, and the characters. And Kelly's not just working in the lakes anymore, she's part of it. And you can really feel her settling in, and that bond with the place is just getting stronger with every book, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really lent itself to leaping back and forth as well because I've just written the prequel to the Kelly
Yeah.
series that's coming out in January, and it's 10 years earlier. It's 2008 in London, and she's missing home. She wanted to run to the bright lights of the city to prove something to her father back in 2008, but there are moments in there, and I've been able to put these moments in of her missing this,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's such a lovely circle moment because obviously fast forward to her being in charge of the serious crime unit, and she, like you say, in by book 3 she is part of this landscape. She's really home, and she's really where she was destined to be. So in the prequel I've been able to put these moments in when she's in London and she's thinking about the Lake District, which has been just so lovely for me.
Oh, wow. Can't wait to read that when it comes out. We're talking about some of these old huts and remote campsites and huts. In Australia, we have a lot of these old huts in the high country, particularly here in Victoria, where I am, and we call them cattleman huts. And I'll put the link in the show notes so you can when I was reading the book, I was really visualizing this in my head. So in these huts, they're really remote. There's no roads to them. You've got to hike in or, horse ride or whatever. So yeah, they're really cool. And there's lots of those in Australia too, with the guys on their horses, and they take the cattle through the high country, and they've got to stay somewhere overnight. So anyone can go to these huts, and there's like beds and stoves inside them, but there's like a place where you can tie up all your cattle or your horses. So, and when you go there, you always leave some food for the next person. Yeah. So they're really, really cool. So I could imagine that. I was imagining that when I was reading this book, Dead End.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I think all sort of mountain ranges have that their own version, don't they? And
Yeah.
obviously in the Lake District, there's a lot sort of on a much smaller scale than that. The way that you're describing that reminds me of Argentina. The estancias and the
Okay.
gauchos riding through, the wilderness, and on a much smaller scale in Cumbria, we call them bothies, and any Scots that are listening are probably going to go crazy because that's their word. It's a
Oh, did
Scottish word. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, the bothy is just like that, and usually, you definitely can't drive to them. You've got to hike, and you take food and you leave food. You leave little sort of, reminders. You might
Yeah.
leave a map, and there's basic beds sometimes, and there's this firewood, and some of them have amazing views. Some of them are
Yes.
quite famous, and
Yeah.
trend on Instagram and stuff like that. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're dotted all over the Lake District, and of course, people who know the Lake District well, they go from bothy to
Oh,
bothy, camping.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. Love that. All right, so now we're just about to hit the wrap up bit. You cool with this? Cool?
Yeah.
All right, Rach, as we wrap up this episode, let's dive into a few fun and thoughtful reflections on Dead End. I'll do that again. All right, Rach, as we wrap up this episode, let's dive into a few fun and thoughtful reflections on Dead End. So, kind of rapid fire style. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. Okay. So in parentheses, I had to Google this. So remember last time it was soporific eggs. Remember there was we had to look up. So what did you have to Google this time?
So I loved researching the Striker saw. So Striker is the brand name, and it's the saw that Ted uses to get into the chest, to open the chest and eviscerate the body during autopsy. Can you hear me salivating?
Just doing the action too, everybody. Oh gosh. Well, I had to Google a couple of things, and Hobson's choice and the hyoid bone and Kagoolies. I don't even know if
Oh
that's
my god, that is too funny. It's pronounced Kegels. It's a very, very English thing, right? So I will find a picture of me in a Kegel. This is it's so embarrassing because when you're 15 and been dragged around the Lake District in a bright orange Kegel, you hate your parents. And you can imagine it's miserable, it's raining.
yeah.
And so I'll find a nice picture for you.
Beautiful. All right, best character and why, and who stole the show for you, Rach?
Zach. I loved writing about Zach. He's this quiet, pure strength that every family's got one, haven't they? He's
Yep.
battling against the odds.
Yeah, Zach. He was also my favourite character. He's sweet, he's kind, he's introvert, he doesn't care about money, and he loves fishing, and he'll move on if he has to. He said that in the book. And just FYI, everybody, Rach and I did these separately, and we only just stitched them together recently, and I can't believe that we've picked a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Rach, worst character in a good way, bad way. Who gave you the ick, or who did you just love to hate?
Yeah, I can't. I can't say the name because obviously it'd be a spoiler. But the killer just gave me the absolute chills.
Yep.
They're pure evil and devoid of all emotion and empathy.
Oh yeah, you wrote that one absolutely perfectly. All right, my one was Michelle Hammond. So she's an ex schoolmate of Kelly Porter. She was so mean and hurtful, and she's in this one scene. It's only a short scene in the book, but oh my god, it's incredibly harsh. She's a cow.
Yeah,
So
it's really interesting how you pick that out because again, it's about showing Kelly about how hard it was to go back. This is what she faces sometimes. So it's really
yeah.
interesting that you picked that one out.
Yeah, that really stood out for me. What was your favourite quote or scene at the moment that stuck with you the most?
Oh, I picked out the very last line of the book. Maybe she did belong here after all. Because I
Yeah.
think this book by number 3, she really is settled, and I love that last line. What about
Yeah.
you?
I absolutely love that. I had a couple, so I'll try and keep it quick. The water fountain scene with Ted Wallis and Wendy and their meeting, it's on page 194 if you're reading along. They both needed air. They're at this big glamorous party. They both didn't want to be at the party, and the coolness of the water fountain and the introduction to each other, it was just so good. And that was a bit when I texted you and I sent you a photo of the page that I was up to. I just love that bit in the book, and if you're reading along, you'll understand why. And also the Hermes Amazoni, the green, the classic green floral fragrance for women. We talked about
Yeah,
that before.
so evocative. Delilah, the name Delilah just lends itself to this Hermes perfume, doesn't
Ah,
it? Yeah,
floaty
I
dresses
love
and
that scene. Yeah. And the
and
Kelly Porter favourite moment, her standout scene for me, it was the surprise, helicopter ride with Johnny. So he obviously sees that she's stressed and, Kelly's
yeah,
really professional. She never gives up and, he surprises her with this helicopter ride over the Lake District because, he's buddies with the mountain rescue pilot and, they've got it happens, doesn't it, in all sort of jobs, and it's just a little snippet of escapism and the way that
yeah.
scared of helicopters, but the view and the scenery just take a breath away, and you can actually hear her exhale and you can feel it. I love that. What about
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Well, one of mine is with Kelly and her interviewing style in this book. The way she, on purpose, is abrupt to Linda Cairns. When she, to spark a response, it was just really clever. And also the scene with Brian Walker, and I can just hear her in my head going, "With respect, Mr. Walker," with such authority, like she was just such a boss.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it was really cool. How do you reckon this book is different to the last one? The tone, the theme, the body count?
Um, yeah, it's I mean, certainly not as big as body count as Deep Fear or Dark Game, but that's kind of because it's more of a family drama, so it's a
Yeah.
bit more personal and evocative, and I really loved experimenting in that field. What
Mm.
about you?
Well, it was the hatred from the killer and wanting what is owed to the killer. So that just stood out to me as a little
Yeah,
bit different from the last one. And I really like how you've linked in back to previous books. So in this one, we had the link back to Walter Millick and the reference to Moira from book number 2, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then the teacher, and the letters are still coming from the teacher. So that link, I really like the way that you've linked them in together.
Yeah, I thought that was quite plausible that a weirdo with the ego of the teacher and the narcissism of the teacher would still think that they were important in Kelly's life and they would try and harass her.
Yep.
So that was a good little twist. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, Rach, let's talk about something funny in the book because you have got such a wicked sense of humour. It comes through. Can you give us a bit of that'll give? All right. Lastly, let me start that again. I've just fucked it up. I'll cut that bit out. Uh, all right. Lastly, Rach, something funny. It could be from the book or behind the scenes. Give us a laugh.
so for me, and this was really like personal as well, because when I wrote this back in 2018, so that's about 8 years ago, yeah. So my teenage daughter would have been 12, and she was so like Josie, like really stroppy, knows everything. So obviously, Kelly and Johnny are trying to, get on with this really romantic, pretty sexy relationship, just sort of discovering each other, and they're getting on, and it's lovely, and they're staying over at each other's, and then Josie, come and say, she says that I'm moving in with your dad, and it's
That's
such
it.
a passion killer, and Kelly's like, holy shit, how am I going to cope with this? So that to me was like, oh.
That was so
What about
funny.
you?
Yeah, it was really good. I had 2. There was a really cute scene in the water with Jelly,
Kelly and
Kelly.
Connie.
Just merged their names there. Jelly. With Kelly and Johnny, and she dacked him in the water. That was really funny. I thought that was cute. And also,
Yeah,
you mentioned this before, but I thought this was actually pretty funny. The spreading of the ashes of John Porter at the Peaks Bay behind the rhododendron bush.
yeah,
Just
in
like,
secret.
yeah,
Like, go! No one's looking, go!
shake, 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 shake.
Yeah, yeah.
And finally, Aussie Jaden, g'day. We haven't even gone there yet. That's the second Aussie reference I've read. So, and I'm pretty sure there must be more to come, Rach.
Oh,
'Cause you
I
are
love Jaden.
honorary
Yeah,
Aussie
we've
Rach.
got he's there, he's working this summer, and he's like, "Hi girls, we're gonna do this today, and it's gonna be chill." And obviously, they find something on the dive, but he's loving the chicks in the bikinis, even though it's absolutely bloody freezing. Yeah. Oh, so did I pull off Aussie Jaden then? Was that
Yeah,
quite
you did.
convincing? Awesome.
Aussie
Awesome,
Jaden.
mate. Hi girls.
G'day. How's it going? Jaden's the name. Diving's the game.
Oh, Christy, well, that wraps up today's episode of The Killer Storyteller with me, Rach, and Christy Horn over in Melbourne. What a brilliant episode. Loved it. We really hope that you have enjoyed listening as much as we've loved chatting about everything Kelly. And next time, slight departure, we're going to choose a different book, The Rich, which is actually Christy's favourite.
I love this book so much. I cannot wait to really unpack it with you. I'll have to read it again for the 4th time. Yes, 4th time, people. I loved it that much. But yeah, so that will be our next one. And in the meantime, come along with us as we keep diving into all the books. And we'd love to hear where you're up to in the series and your thoughts.
It's been amazing connecting with everybody, and
Yeah.
keep up the messages and the comments and the reviews. Seriously, it means the world. It's brilliant.
It's
Thank you.
cool, isn't it? And remember, you can find us pretty much absolutely everywhere. Spotify, Amazon Music, there's YouTube, but even on iHeartRadio, which is doing really, really well. And also Apple Pods is next, but FYI, I'm having a bit of a brain fade here. So if anyone knows how to link to Apple Pods, help me out here. But wherever you can, hit follow, subscribe so you never miss a killer episode.
And if you've got thoughts on today's chat, drop us a comment. We'd seriously love to hear from you. And it is really us replying. Honest, we read everything, and we've got both sides of the hemisphere covered as well. So Christy replies in one time zone. I wake up and I see all the comments, and then I do my bit.
It's good, isn't it? All right, Rach, that was another killer episode into the bag for us. How did you enjoy this one?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. What about you?
Yeah, same here. Absolutely loved it as well. I'm kind of sad to see Dead End go, but I'm excited to get into the Rich on the next one. All right, guys, that is it for now. We're over and out, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
See you next time. Bye, Christy.
Bye, Rach. See you.